So you have a kick sound that you like, and you want to use sidechain compression to really bring it out in the mix and get that pumping sound that you hear in the club. But the kick sustain is too long to get enough compression with any reasonable threshold. What do you do? Hey guys, Nathan here. 5-Minute Clinics is a new series I'm making to share music production related tips in 5 minutes or less. Today we're going to talk about what I call triggered sidechain compression, which is when you compress some music with a bass drum or some other sound, but using the dynamics of a third sound. So why is that helpful? So a quick review. Compression is taking the amplitude or loudness beyond some threshold and squeezes the loudness beyond the threshold down by a certain ratio. In essence, compression evens out loudness or equalizes the dynamics. Sidechain compression is where the source of the compression is a different waveform than the target. In this example, the source is a bass drum, and we want to compress the target only after the bass drum exceeds a certain threshold. So now the compression only happens on the target in these highlighted areas. The problem is, with some sounds or groups of sounds, you can't set the parameters like threshold correctly to either get enough compression or keep the compression lasting only for a short period of time. Ideally, you'd use one source of sound, like the kick that you actually want to hear, or maybe even a few sounds, like a kick and a snare. And you can't tune the compressor settings to get the compression on the rest of the music that you want. But those sources could trigger a silent source with the dynamics that you want to get the compression. Those dynamics are just right to compress the rest of the music exactly how you want. I have a project set up here, mostly blank. We're going to put the source for the sidechain in this top track. The second track will be the actual kick sound that we want to hear. And then the third is a group of the rest of the music. So the first thing that we want to do is create the kick drum sound that we want to hear. Bring a drum rack as the instrument so that we can put audio files as samples. And so let's find drum kick that we want. And if we listen to it, and you can see from the waveform here, there's a lot of sustain. And so if we compress based on that, a lot of the music would be quieted for too long of a period of time. Next, we're going to go to the sidechain source. We're going to set up a sampler. And then we're going to find a kick drum sample that has dynamics that we want. So I found one that I liked before. So if we listen to this, very, very short kick with not a lot of sustain. If we compress based on this source, the compression, the amount that the rest of the music is quieted, will go away quickly, which is what we want in this case. So now how do we link all this together? Instead of having this track be a normal instrument, we're going to have it triggered by the kick track, and we're going to make sure that's an input. So now every time we click a MIDI input for the kick track, you can see it's triggering this sampler. Now, of course, we don't want to actually hear the trigger of the sidechain, so we just turn that off. But you can still see it's being triggered in the background. We just can't hear it anymore. So then the final step is making the sidechain compressor. So if we go to Audio Effects and drag in a compressor here, if you click this arrow, it gives you the sidechain option. And now we can take the input from the sidechain source. And again, this is based on track 1, that source that we set up. So we can bring threshold down, and now we have a gain reduction that we can see in the compression here. Let's duplicate this and compare it to what would happen if we actually sourced the kick itself, the sound that we want for the kick to make. We can see that the gain reduction is very quick when the source is that triggered quick kick, whereas if we triggered this compression from the actual kick sound that we want to use, the gain reduction would last a very long time, again because of that long sustain. So now, how would this sound? So now if we play this, we're playing in MIDI notes of the sound we want to hear, and it's triggering a sound that we don't hear that compresses the rest of the music. If we hear the chord without compression, no compression on the chord. If we enable the sidechain from the trigger source, we can hear that pumping that comes and goes very quickly. And that's opposed to if we trigger the compression directly from the kick sound that we can hear. You can hear that basically just reduces the gain the whole time. So if that was helpful, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.